Hey folks, welcome back. Well, I'm not going to lie, it's been a tough day for me today, so I was pleased to find that at least this afternoon there was a lovely delivery for me from dungeonland.co.uk. I picked up the Player's Guide, the Gamemaster's Toolkit, and the Gamemaster's Guide for Achtung, Cthulhu, the 2d20 version from Modiphius Entertainment. As you guys know by now, I love Call of Cthulhu, and I love the 2d20 system in the various guises that I have it in, such as Star Trek Adventures and Dune and so forth. So I thought, well, why not combine 2d20 and the Mythos, and we'll see if it works for me. As you can tell from the tagline here, this is definitely not taking a Call of Cthulhu approach. It's not a horror game, it's more of a pulpy action game. It says, your ultimate companion for battling the Mythos and punching evil in the face. So it's supposed to be an action-packed game. There will be dark magic and evil rituals and crazy missions with dark sorcerers and whatnot, but it's more about action than investigative horror. Well, I'm sure there will be investigative missions and stealth missions and all kinds of stuff, but without further ado, I'm going to crack the seal on these bad boys, and that way we'll be able to get some light on the subject without too much reflection. And I'm just going to do a quick first impressions flick through of each of these. And I'll come back with my full review when I've had a chance to really go through the system to a larger degree of detail and hopefully get some gaming in and give this a try. So I'll pop open the Gamemaster's Toolkit as well. These I find are often a little bit more annoying to open, but there we go. Not too bad. And finally, the Gamemaster's Guide. Okay. So we'll start with the Player's Guide first, and then the Gamemaster's Guide, and then we'll look at the GM Kit last. I think that's a sensible order to continue things in. You know, always good to get a good idea of what the rules are roughly about before we look at what's included on the GM screen, I think. So, there we go. And now we shall shed some light on the subject. So that's all sorted. There we go. Okay, so Player's Guide. You can see it's relatively thin, and so the Gamemaster's Guide as well. I think the Gamemaster's Guide is a little shy of 300 pages, and the Player's Guide is even thinner, maybe even shy of 250. Got nice end papers here with some scary evil stormtrooper, some more lurking in the background. I've heard that these are among the better looking books in the Modiphius line, which is pretty impressive. I mean, you can see fantastic art here. Lots of goopy avatar. It looks like an avatar of Nyarlathotep. We've got, I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you. Some kind of necromancy going on, maybe a night gaunt. But yeah, so we've got an introduction, a little basics about the 2d20 system. And then here we start with the background. So the basic idea, as I understand it, is that within World War II, in the Achtung Cthulhu reality, there was a secret war going on between these various organizations. So there's Section M, which I believe is the kind of British aspect of the secret war. So they were looking into the mythos and the occult and its use in warfare. Majestic was the American equivalent. And then on the German side, or the Axis side, we had the Black Sun and the Nachtwolf. So we got a little bit of really cool background snippets from various perspectives on these guys. And then we have the Migo, of course, and the Deep Ones. These are two famous factions from the Lovecraftian universe. So the basic game playing. Now this game uses the challenge dice. I didn't buy the special dice for this game because the challenge dice appear to be exactly the same in terms of their distribution of numbers and effects as the Star Trek ones. So I'm just going to use those. And I already have a million D20s from both Dune and Star Trek, so I'm in no need of the special dice for this one. You'll notice these a different symbol, this little squid guy for the challenge dice. So yeah, the basic idea is the same as usual. You choose an attribute plus skill, set a difficulty, roll your dice pool, check for successes. Any roll of 1 generates 2 successes. If you have a focus, you will score critical success if you roll less than your skill rating, and each die that rolls 20 causes a complication, and then you work out, whether you hit the target in terms of success and what the result is if there's any complications. So they give some examples of difficulty, with 5 being retaining your sanity as you stare into the face of an elder god. Oh no. And we've got assists, which you can do as well. Difficulty 0 tests to gain momentum are also part of the system, as they are with the other 2 d20s. Pose test, extended tests, how to spend momentum. You can use them to buy d20s, create a truth in the scene, or remove a negative truth currently in play. So this is like traits that you can establish in Dune or Star Trek. You can obtain information, so 1 momentum per question spent, Or you can reduce the time it took to complete your test, so that would be useful if you have a timed issue going on. And there's some repeatable momentum spends. You can get bonus momentum, you can save it up in the pool, but the momentum pool cannot contain more than 6 at any given time. That's the usual case. Then we explain a little bit about truths and complications. So a truth is a single word or short phrase describing an important fact about the scene. Could be a location truth, such as gridlocked road, rowdy bar, or dense forest. Situation truths, such as darkness, heavy rain, or bustling crowds. Or personal truths, such as veteran, shell-shocked, or disciple of the Black Sun. Truths might make an action possible or impossible. They can make it easier, they can make it more difficult, or it can be particularly potent and increase the modifier of the difficulty. So you could have smoke, or you could have smoke 2, which would add 2 difficulty to trying to shoot through the smoke. So far, so standard. Complications, again, we can also alter the complication range. So this is all very basic 2d20 stuff. Now we have another resource called Fortune. So this seems to be equivalent to Determination in Star Trek. So in either case, you can use your Fortune, these special points, to buy critical success, reroll any number of dice in your pool, take an additional major action in a conflict situation, avoid defeat, basically avoid death, or make it happen, immediately introduce a new truth for the scene. Could be something that no one in the scene has noticed yet, or a piece of equipment you thought you didn't have, but actually do. Very cool. Tells you how to regain them. You can also voluntarily fail a skill test. So you'll fail the test automatically without rolling, but you gain 1 fortune point in return. Or you can voluntarily invoke one of your scars, if you have any, to produce a negative affect for your character in the scene. By doing so, the character's past trauma or injury inhibits them in a big way, and you gain 1 fortune point, but only if agreed by the DM. You can also pay the GM with threat instead of momentum to get the same effects. Now we have the actions chapter. So we've got environments and zones, setting an action order, using momentum to keep the initiative, minor actions, things you can do when you're prone, major actions, helping someone else, so you can use the catch breath major action on an ally within reach. So catching breath seems to be a way to cover yourself a little bit. You can stabilize somebody who's dying as well. Yeah, catching breath, you take a moment to remove stress from your track or remove a damage effect you are suffering. This is a will plus resilience test with a difficulty of 2. Success either removes stress equal to your resilience score plus 1 stress per momentum spent, or removes an ongoing effect such as the persistent damage effect. Okay. We also have some free actions, you can have some reactions, and then we have an example encounter with some nice detail and a very awesome piece of art. So we've got a deep one there and something truly tentacular over there. Okay, so attacks cause stress on your stress attack. So again, similar to Star Trek, characters have resistance. So then you reduce the total of any attack roll after you roll the challenge dice by any resistance you have from armor and cover or from courage and morale. The final total is 0 or less. The attack inflicts no damage. But I think some cover can be destroyed, and different truths about the scene may affect your ability to resist certain things. You can also make non-lethal attacks. If you suffer 5 or more stress from a single attack or hazard, or you reach your maximum stress, you immediately suffer an injury. If both these things happen, then you suffer 2 injuries instead of 1. Each injury has a special kind of truth, which will generally impair a character, making things difficult or impossible. The name of the injury should reflect the type of attack or hazard which inflicted it. Okay, so depending on whether you're shot or hit with magic or something. And then again, we have a lovely example here with Daphne almost buying it. We have Death or Glory. So how you can be defeated, or if you can accept defeat voluntarily, cannot die or gain a scar. Okay, that's interesting. Then we have discussion of weapons, different kinds of weapon effects, which again looks similar to Star Trek, but we have the addition of the snare effect here to entangle and bind a target. And you can get bonus stress inflicted based on your attributes. And the different ranges will change difficulty of a shot, of course. You can have mental attacks. So that can be things like a knife to the throat, suppressive fire, or spells. Or fearsome creatures can make mental attacks, like intimidation, domination, or overwhelming you with their presence. Mortal horror versus cosmic horror. That's an interesting sidebar there. Then there are ways you can spend momentum and fortune in your action scenes, with a nice handy list down here. How to recover from stress and injuries. How you get scars. So the new personal truths. Physical scars can be things like amputee, bad back, chronic pain. I know about that one. Drug addiction, head wounds, lingering shrapnel. Mental scars could be different disorders, brief reactive psychosis, fainting, epilepsy, narcolepsy, paranoia, violent tendencies, tics or tremors, PTSD, all kinds of exciting things. And some environmental effects and actions can affect endurance. So they give you fatigue, and it reduces your stress track by 1 for each point of fatigue you suffered. If your maximum stress is reduced to 0, you are defeated, collapse from exhaustion, despair, or deprivation. There are many ways to die. It's always good. And then we got character creation. Lovely character sheet, by the way. Very clean design. Nicely fits everything on one page. So we have example skills. Well, wait, these are example focuses rather. So you start with your attributes, which are brawn, coordination, insight, and will. Attributes range from 6 to 12, with 8 representing the average. And then you have skills with range from 0 to 5. And then it goes through the different skills and some possible focuses that you could use. And then you can, of course, have talents as well. These are additional benefits, and there's a full list later in the book. You also have 3 fortune points for each game session. That's pretty good. And you can earn more of them through bold, selfless action. You can get equipment, you'll know at least one language, and you will have an amount of stress based on brawn plus resilience or will plus resilience, whichever is higher. You can sustain 3 injuries before being taken out of the fight in an action scene. Okay, if you have more physical injuries than mental, you are also dying. Okay, interesting. So we have a few archetypes here. We have the boffin, so they're kind of technical knowledge people. They could be like demolitionists or working on mechanics or electricity type stuff. We've got commanders, so they're great at leading. They have talents to reflect that. We've got Carn artist, that's pretty cool. If you want to go clandestine. Got the grease monkey, good at engineering and mechanics. The infiltrator, if you want to be a spy and wage war from the shadows. An investigator, if you want to discover the truth and uncover conspiracies. That's cool. A little bit of Call of Cthulhu thrown in there. The occultist, if you want to learn about crazy spells, wield incredible magic, summoning mythos entities and so forth. Or you have straight up soldiers who are just great on the battlefield. They have resilience and some talents related to battlefield survival and shooting better. You can also pick different nationalities, an expanded list of nationalities and languages if you so choose. And they give you some background here. So here we have different backgrounds: academic, Air Force, Army, athlete, covert operative, criminal, engineer, driver, entertainer, journalist. Wow, quite a few. Politician, Navy, police, resistance, spiritual leader. Wow. All right, and then, so characteristics mark you as distinct, unusual, or extraordinary in one way. Cool. So you can roll randomly to get one of these, or you can pick from the list. So these include things like Born Behind the Wheel, Bookworm, Criminal Mindset, Dreamwalker, Escaped from Europe, Own an Occult Artifact. That seems pretty useful. Raised by a Cult, less useful. Scientific Visionary, Wanted by the Authorities, Veteran of the Great War. And then your finishing touches, you've got your truths. You should have at least 4 truths. You have your attributes, your skills, your focuses. 4 focuses, 2 from their archetype and 2 from their background. And then 3 talents, 1 from their archetype, 1 from their background, and 1 from their characteristics. If they don't, revisit your choices and pick relevant talents. Okay. Oh, and there's different kinds of magic as well. So there's rune weaving, druidism, and psychic magic. There's different kinds of spellcaster attributes, esoteric and ancient languages. That's cool. Your character's resistance based on their attribute rating. So, okay, they gain armor resistance based on their brawn and courage resistance based on their will. Okay. Bonus challenge dice. So that can also come about through your attributes. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice how they've laid out this character creation section. I think it's super duper clear. And then we have the nice big fat list of talents, which we will just flip through because time's a-wasted. Yeah, and they categorized them by what they're most related to: survival, tactics, vehicles, weird. That's going to be my section. Mystical powers, occult dabbler. That's cool. Tools of trade. So we've got, I'm assuming, different types of equipment. We've got some melee weapons, from axes to brass knuckles to sabers, rifle butts, trench knives, bats. Exotic melee weapons: broadsword, spear, sword. Range weapons. We've got all kinds of cool World War II era weapons. For handguns, then we've got rifles, submachine, and machine guns. Cool. Heavy weapons and ordnance. We've got bazookas, anti-tank rifles, mortars. Oh, and there's another servant of Nyarlathotep. Grenades and bombs. Very cool. Different types of those. Pineapple grenades, tire busters, all sorts of stuff. And exotic range weapons: bows, longbows, and crossbows. Interesting. Then we got some armor. Flak vest, leather armor, plate armors, and shields. Belongings, so your skill kits and facilities, skill focus. Okay. All right, I don't fully understand this, but okay. First aid kits used with medicine to treat injuries. Okay. So these different kits are used for a different skill focus, used in a different facility to their best effect. That seems to be the way it goes. So you have different kinds of equipment: cameras, telescopes, mechanics tools, ritual tools, covert equipment, like caltrops, covert comms equipment, escape knives, suppressor. Got German military equipment, so all their handguns, rifles, melee weapons, etc. Machine guns, heavy weapons, and grenades. Acquiring equipment. Items have a restriction rating. The higher the restriction rating, the harder they are to obtain, maybe even illegal. Okay, and you can get special mission requisitions, which is kind of cool, and you can try to persuade or steal items on the field if you find something valuable. Vehicles as well. There's quite a lot of interesting stuff I've heard about this. So vehicles movement is apparently quite sophisticated. There's vehicular combat, different types of movement. Different things can happen when you go out of control, like a jarring stop, a skid, a spin, or you can get stuck. You can attack from your vehicles. You can attack passengers in vehicles. Passengers can get bumped and bruised when the vehicle is damaged. Vehicles can be injured and they can be repaired. And then we have some commonplace vehicles. Churchill Mark 7 tank, Stuart light tank, infantry tanks, jeeps, carriers, amphibious vehicles, medium tank, Sherman tanks, M18 tank destroyers. Then we got the Germans, a BMW motorcycle. That's a quite classic one. BMW R75 with sidecar, the Kubelwagen, staff car, Panzerjäger Marder, the Marder tank destroyer. Mercedes-Benz 770 is the senior German officer's transport for the Wehrmacht. We got the Panzer 1 and the Panzer 2, the Panzer 3 and the Panzer 4, Panzer 5 Panther, Panzer 6 Tiger, half-tracks, and assault guns. Then we've got chapter on magic. So there's an explanation of the mechanics, which seems to, I guess, change based on your magical tradition, perhaps. Your starting spells, depending on whether you're a traditional, a researcher, or a dabbler. Skills related to magic, and then what can happen if you miscast a spell. So depending on the spell difficulty, the complication range also goes up. The effects of miscast can be more severe and more unpredictable. Yikes. So different types of spells. You can attack, banish, bless, control, curse, discharge, divination, manifest something, or summon something. And you can bind battlefield spells, basically holding it around you in a mantle until you're ready to cast it. It's interesting. And you can also use momentum for your magic spells. That's cool. And then we've got different spell books. We've got the Celtic spell book. And the magic, I understand, is more like Call of Cthulhu than D&D. There's not that many spells, but they're quite powerful and quite risky. We've got Psychic and ESP talents as well. That's cool. Inner Nirvana. Telekinesis, Primal Scream, Spontaneous Combustion, Telepathy. And you can learn new spells. There's also Ritual Magic, which you perform outside of combat. Some of them require a blood sacrifice, animal sacrifice, or human sacrifice. Yikes. And there's only a couple, I believe, in the player's book. Yeah, we've got Commune with Deity, which could be very risky. The Balm of Belinus, which is a healing power to heal the most awful of wounds. And the Runic Ritual of Baldur's Shield to deflect, absorb, or repel harmful magic projectiles and physical attacks. Alright, and then we have the March of History. So this is kind of actual World War II stuff that happened. I think how the various Secret War elements are intertwined with that. Now we have a nice list of NPCs, animals, including a dog. Always nice to have a dog on your side. And they have the good boy talent, which is nice to see. Finally, the character sheet. Again, very nice design, very clean. I'm really impressed with the character generation chapter. That was really good. Alright, now we've got the Gamemaster's Guide. Command the forces of the Nazi occult and the malevolent menace of the Mythos. Yes, that's going to be my job. Oh, we've got some definite scary crap going on here. Look, somebody's exploding. We've got night gaunts, I think. Some planes in the background. Got a spellcaster here. So what do we got? The introduction, more details on the Secret War, the secret weapons, more magic stuff, and Game Master tips, heroes and villains from the different factions, a bestiary. Alright. So I think we'll basically skip the intro stuff and the background stuff. There's quite a lot of background here, which is obviously useful for the Game Master. Understand the motivations of the different factions, the Noctwolf, and the Black Sun in particular. Now we have the Lovecraftian faction, so we've got the deep ones, and from what I understand, they've expanded on the different varieties of deep ones and the Migo as well. So there's not just a single type, there's like a hierarchy and a societal structure. Now we get into some bit more crunch here. So secret weapons. There are new weapon qualities, Bane, so especially effective against Mythos creatures, and ignores the effects of the invulnerable special rule. Okay. Hunger. When the weapon is used to inflict one or more injuries, the wielder may gain one of the following bonuses. Recover 5 stress, heal a single injury, or gain +1 challenge dice for the remainder of the scene. So that's a bonus to power. Interesting. We've got lightning guns. Wow, that sounds intense. If you rolled a complication, then you can have a catastrophe. The weapon explodes and is destroyed with an area effect. Okay, not great. We've got Monster Slayer Mark 1 sniper rifles, steam-assisted enzymatic weapons, Elder Sign ammunition, entity detectors, Cornwallis goggles, vision enhancer or monocle, Green Knight directed energy weapon, must be that guy, Livingston marbles. Those with an affinity for the arcane or the psychically sensitive quickly find themselves becoming unwell and repulsed in the presence of the spheres. Interesting. Pipes of McMurden, look at that. Magical bagpipes. That's cool. Rebreather packs, sword cane, Wellington umbrella, conceals a firearm. The Whisper, a silenced BB gun, can be used to deliver toxin-infused pellets. Cool. And every faction has their own special stuff. We got electric bazookas for Majestic, Wolverine chainsaws, a Dragon's Breath, Desiccant spray, which would be good against the deep ones, I assume. Ibn Ghazi grenade has the power to reveal unseen entities as well as damage them. Incorporeal or unliving creatures hit by the dust grenade suffer 3 challenge dice of damage with the piercing 1 effect plus the revealed truth. Wow, cool. Ghostwalker armor, so making you very hard to detect. Pathfinder weaponry. Wow, 0-point energy gun. Yikes. From the Black Sun. The Black Sun armband. Creatures of the Black Sun will not attack the wearer as a result of an enchantment bound into the cloth. The Bloodborne dart. Okay, so that launches into you and gestates a horrible creature that bursts from your body. That's always nice. Wotan's staff spear Gungnir, named after the spear carried by the god Wotan of Norse mythology. Wow, okay. If you spill blood with it, it draws strength and power from it. And then we have the Nightwolf, Nachtwolf. They can augment and bioenhance themselves with various different ways, from olfactory senses to skeletal reinforcement, heightened reflexes, optical enhancement. They've got breastplate armor, some special gas, experimental ammunition that penetrates armor and explodes on contact. Force plates, Hellfire belt-fed repeater shotgun. Oh my goodness. A assault rifle with some kind of grenade attachment. That looks deadly. Red Ruin grenade. Okay. A hemorrhagic aerosol that is absorbed through the skin, uses the victim's own blood as a catalyst. The victim's own blood renders their body down to its essential acids, dissolving even bone. The fatal process takes minutes, but the victim is in agony the whole time. Wow, that's horrible. Shroud, semi-adaptive camouflage. Then the deep ones, they've got boar crawler bombs. Oh, so it seems that all that their stuff is related to some kind of aquatic element. So this is a gelatinous solution rendered down from various species of jellyfish. Mistweaver armor. We've got mollusk mines, deployed in actual fragile seashells. Cool. Pufferfish grenades. Some are used as smoke grenades, others are used to deliver airborne toxins or acidic payloads. They also have spine daggers and darts, usually filled with pufferfish venom, tetrodotoxin, if paralyzing the victim is required, a tactic sometimes used by Deep One slavers. More lethal toxins can also be employed. We've got the Migo, so of course they have their famous brain cylinder. They surgically extract living brains, keep them alive within bizarre cylinders, and they use them as part of a vast calculation engine. They've got a disintegrator. If the disintegrator defeats its target, the target is utterly destroyed, leaving only a greasy cloud of smoke and a bad smell. Characters suffering this fate may spend a fortune point to survive this, becoming defeated rather than destroyed. They also have their own version of the electric gun, and a matter transplacer, which manipulates the local gravity field to increase or decrease an object's weight. Also got the Elgarthing Shoggoth Goad. Okay, so it's a way to command a Shoggoth, it seems like. Elgarthing Staff. The staff begins to deliver strange, eerie visions to the bearer of an ancient Elder Thing city high on a warm plateau. The GM should describe an enticing scene to the character, and if they say they would like to carry on, the staff draws more from them. Each time a wielder answers yes, they suffer 2 fatigue and add a charge to the staff. The staff can hold up to 5 charges. Store charges can be used by the wielder if they understand how to draw upon it. So they can use that to buy dice when attempting to cast a spell. So you put some of your life force into this thing, and it makes your spells easier. That's cool. We've got a huge list of all this really cool stuff, including these weird grenades and heavy weapons and crazy artifacts. Now we've got some magic. So battlefield magic for the allies. This is the Axis tradition, so they're using much more nasty stuff, basically. Summoning a Reef Breaker, a huge warrior of the deep ones. Calling on Cthulhu's dreams made flesh. Okay, that sounds bad. An evocation of the ocean's limitless depths to strengthen and reinforce the allies. A Call of the Deep, forcing opponents to move silently towards the nearest body of water. Using this spell, Gift of Cthulhu, the spellcaster can take on the properties of a deep one. Alright. Then there's a Grimoire of Nyarlathotep, so you can summon a small portion of the Dark Pharaoh's unholy sibling, the Nameless Mist, manifesting as a restless, shifting, chaotic mist, lingering and burning with a horrible, eternal intensity, damaging anyone caught in its unholy tendrils. Yikes. Birth of the Overlords, you can summon a Servitor Overlord, the personal servants of Nyarlathotep, who will do the spellcaster's bidding and fight on his behalf. You can call forth the madness of the Dark Pharaoh, conjuring horrific visions and glimpses of strange dimensions and eerie planes beyond this earthly existence. That's a mental attack. Got the Shape of Hate, Rays of the Black Sun, Mask of the Faceless Sphinx. So that allows the caster to cloak themselves. Their outlines seem to shift and shimmer, making them much harder to hit. You can call a Thunderous Black Cloud, which brings down razor-sharp shards of jagged obsidian. Ouch. Leech Life Essence. Okay. Spells of Yog-Sothoth. So he is the opener of the way. So the Way of the Gatekeeper, spellcaster transports a number of his willing allies equal to half their power, rounding up. The affected characters vanish and reappear in any zone within long range. Ooh, teleportation. Spheres of Yog-Sothoth, the sorcerer summons a small portion of Yog-Sothoth's being to this plane, and then directs them at their enemies who wilt under the outer god's unclean touch. Binding of Yog-Sothoth binds all nearby enemies with this spell. They become rooted to the spot, unable to move, fire, or defend themselves. Gaze of the Multiverse. Spellcaster opens the victim's eyes to the true nature of the cold, harsh, unyielding universe, which has the nuclear chaos of the mad, blind god Azathoth at its center. Those affected are overcome by the overwhelming nature of this revelation and lose coherence and focus for its duration. Wow. There's lots more rituals as well. So you can alter the weather, you can go astral walking, you can banish demons and malevolent spirits, and cast out any being with a possessing power. You can compel or overpower a creature's native will. You can commune with a Mythos deity. It's a quick and dangerous route to power, and the price is likely to be extremely high. I can well imagine. Create wards, so you can basically repel the followers and minions of the outer gods. You can descry an enchantment, so you can basically identify if an area has been protected by spells. You can dismiss entity, permanently remove a transdimensional being's presence from Earth, banishing back to whence it came. Dust of Ibn Ghazi, exposing the incorporeal and unseen creatures. Effigy of Protection, Ethereal Communication, evoke or dismiss a deity, and then they give examples of what can happen with each deity. I'm not going to spoil that, though. I want to read that later in detail for myself. This seems really cool. There's a lot of rituals in here that are not in the player's guide, so I guess they want you, the GM, to kind of make them, use these or even create your own rituals to kind of dole them out as dangerous consequences, but, enticing amounts of power that could both help the players immensely or get them into huge amounts of trouble. Then we have a collection of Mythos tomes, languages they're written in, difficulty to read them, and special rules for each. Cults of the Edisi, the Germania, Fiesta de los Muertos, the Lure of the Deeps, of course the Necronomicon, which has many different versions, and a bunch of special rules, the Pnakotic manuscripts, the Aurelia tablets, commentaries, and then we've got a Gamemaster section, which I think will be pretty standard for 2d20, with ideas on threat spends, probably some cool stuff on running action scenes because it's a more action-based game. Some common NPC special abilities, of which there's quite a few. And here's a nice little size comparison chart. I'm guessing is that Cthulhu himself or a star spawn? I'm not sure. But in any case, it's very large. There's some rules for creating trooper NPCs, which are like minions, lieutenant NPCs, which are going to be tougher, and nemesis NPCs, which are going to be really tough. And then we've got heroes and villains, so some general British forces people, commandos, guards, special forces, Section M field operatives, so here we have some specific people that you might deal with during adventures. Mad Jack McMasters, that's a good name. Major Seraph the White Witchman. Section M top brass, that's cool. Resistance fighters, again with some special individuals. Got some generic US forces up to elite and secret war special forces, so demon hunters, flaming salamanders, Foley's Furies. And then Majestic Field Operatives, so these are again specific characters with certain abilities. This guy is carrying something gross, so he's some kind of magician. And then the top brass of Majestic as well. And then the Axis Forces, so German infantry soldiers, infantry officers, Panzer Grenadiers, parachute fighters, or Fallschirmjäger, Brandenburger, so Lieutenant NPC, Waffen SS, always nice to see in general. Einsatzgruppen troopers. They are the vilest manifestation of the Nazi regime and truly represent the black heart of their war machine. So they're the murder squads, basically. Sonderkommandos are temporary combat groups, which are extremely not good. Then we have the more fantastical troopers. Black Sun troopers, Black Sun demon tamers. So they are often bond with a Teufelshund by powerful black sorcery. Black Sun novice troopers, Black Sun master, lieutenants, Black Sun cannon. So the Black Sun Master, and then the Black Sun Cannon. So I guess these are the spellcasters. The Norn Dreamer. So they're profoundly powerful in the Dreamlands. Okay. And then we have the Chosen. Okay, that's a gross thing. You can also have a Greater Chosen, and they can have random mutations. That's cool. Just give them different properties. Die Toten is a lieutenant NPC, born in darkness, born from the ranks of the dead. Their bodies and minds preserved through perverse magic. So zombie soldiers. Black Sun High Command, we have the Exarch of the Black Sun, Reinhard Weissler. He's a nemesis. Albrecht Lohmann, Prior of the Black Sun. Astrid Erner, Prior of the Black Sun, another nemesis. A lot of Nemesi here, and a lot of special rules for all these. That's really fun. I really like that every individual NPC, every different type of trooper has special abilities. All their attacks are laid out in detail. Their skills are all there. They're fully functional character profiles with a lot of uniqueness, which is great. Look at this guy. Oh my god. Nachtwolf Stormtrooper, kind of in a giant mech suit. Got advanced optics, extraordinary brawn, menacing. He generates threat just by appearing. Okay. Got the Nachtwolf Wolfguard, Nachtwolf High Command, General Oberst Mina Wolf, Nachtwolf Commander. So she has special rules and spells and rituals. Oberst Lieutenant Oscar Richter, Commander of a certain battalion. I mean, look at all this cool stuff. Everybody's got cool stuff. I'm really looking forward to this game. This is definitely up my alley. Now, finally, we have the Bestiary, the Auroch, which is a crazy-ass looking species of cattle, long extinct, brought back by the Nazi genetic experiments. We've got bears, bats, dogs, again, eagles, horses, insect swarms, wolves, rat swarms, and now we've got creatures of abhorrent science. Didrauger, so they're shambling, reanimated corpses all mushed together. Writhing mass of necrotic flesh. Gross. Then they have corpses given unclean life by black magic. The reanimated corpses, which is a trooper NPC. We've got monstrous sorcerers. Oh, this is the bloodborne thing that can burst out of you if you get hit by that bloodborne dart thing. We've got cold ones, which have a bunch of rules that cause all kinds of nasty cold effects on you. The color out of space. Oh, that's awesome. Incorporeal 10 has 10 armor and may move freely through rough or difficult terrain. By spending one threat, the creature can pass through a solid barrier. It loses its armor against magical attacks, weapons with a bane quality, electrical attacks, and attacks from strong magnetic sources. Wow. Then we have cultists of the old gods. Look at that. They've got tentacles and one eyeball. That's cool. Elder things as well. And ghouls. Fluttering fiends, hideous misshapen amalgam of crow and mole and other less savory, less terrestrial creatures. Verminous terror to anyone who take to the skies. Got the great race of Yith, gotta love them. The Halja, the Arctic spirits, brides of the Wendigo, they're called. Overlords of Nyarlathotep, we've seen a few pictures of those. They've got nasty tentacles. Scion of Yog-Sothoth, plenty of menacing special rules, and they also have various spells available as well. And they can have mutations. They could be invisible, have raking claws, be invulnerable, or be supersized. You got serpent people, serpent person sorcerer. That sounds really bad. There's the servitors of Nyarlathotep, servitors of the outer gods, the Shihad, which seems like a dole, I think it is, in the Mythos terminology. And Shoggoths, of course, always a bad one. Look at all the special rules they've got for engulfing you and being amorphous, menacing, enormous, and tough, and just bad. Spawn of Cthulhu and Teflsun. So these are the ones that are bound to some of the Black Sun soldiers. So they can spend 2 threat to emerge from interdimensional space and depart a scene in the same way. Wow. So they're like the Hounds of Tyndalos, basically. We've got Deep 1 hybrids, Deep 1 scouts, Deep 1 slavers, Deep 1 warriors, Deep 1 engineers, Deep 1 reef breakers, those are the tough guys. Deep 1 elders, they're nemesis. Wow, scary. And Deep 1 shaman, so they are doing some spells and rituals. And the Deep 1 adept, so they know they're healing and various abominable rites. Deep 1 warlock, Deep 1 aquamancer, Deep 1 high aquamage. Wow. Wherever I heard that from, they weren't kidding. They really did expand on the mythology here. Then we got Migo drones, augmented Migo. So they've got some more special rules. Got Migo scientists, so they can use the electric gun and other cool stuff. They have access to many remarkable technologies, and Yog-Sothoth's blessing. We have the Centurion, Migo princess. Wow, okay. Boy, is that her? Christ. That's terrifying. We've got emerging queen. Okay, that seems real bad. Another nemesis. Yog-Sothoth's blessing generates 5 threat when it appears in a scene. Wow. Okay. Then we've got the gods themselves. Azathoth, he doesn't have stats because they're basically meaningless. He's invulnerable, and his size keeps increasing over time as he emerges into the reality. It generates 12 threat upon appearing. So I like that they've statted the gods, but they're basically impossible to beat. Cthulhu gets automatic successes on all kinds of stuff. Extraordinary brawn, huge damage on everything. Look at all this stuff he can do. He can swallow you whole. I mean, Insidious Dreams, Threatening 12, so 12 threat again. Father Dagon and Mother Hydra, they're a little bit more manageable. Hastur, the King in Yellow. Yeah, he's got a large amount of power. Deadly Tendrils, Unspeakable Presence. Fearsome 4, Threatening 6, so not quite as big as Cthulhu on that front. Nyarlathotep, the Nemesis NPC. He uses a dagger, pistol, or cunning words, which can do a lot for a mental attack. He's immune to fear. And he can assume immortal guise as well. He's also got monstrous forms, which lead to a greater degree of threat, fearsomeness, create fear. He's got extraordinary brawn, insight, reason, and will. Sarthosis, the Sundered God. That's a new one. Shub-Niggurath, terrifying. Wow, grasping tentacles, fast recovery 5, invulnerable, scale 6, threatening 6, incorporeal 6. Okay, it's a hole in reality rather than a corporeal creature. Cool. The Wendigo. We've got Yig, the great god Yig of the Serpent people, the Serpent God. He's got toxic blood, venomous bite, threatening 3, and Yog-Sothoth, finally, so we're going in alphabetical order, I guess. Incorporeal 10, threatening 15. He generates 15 threat. Wow, okay. And that's the Gamemaster's Guide. I gotta say, I mean, I'm super excited about what I've seen already, but I'm behind my schedule here, so we'll just quickly look at the GM screen. We have, as usual, a little bit of an ad bit there. So this comes with a Gamemaster's Toolkit, which is designed to help you set up your adventures, developing antagonists and opposition, supporting casts, setting up opening scenes. It's got loads of story hook generators, NPC generators. What else we got? Opening scene generators, civilian NPCs, scene locations and atmospheres, obstacles, buildings, covert sites, goals and aims. So you can really just randomly generate a whole mission, including occult forces and monstrosities, elite nemesis, mythos, gods, whatever you want, and just go at it. I think that's great. Very cool. So there's a mission creator. And then as for the screen itself, we'll look quickly at the artwork side, which I'm sure will be very neat. And indeed it is. We have nighttime action here. We've got something horrible about to chase down this woman here in the middle. Looks like an American soldier shooting at something tentacly. We've got an arcane sorcerer stirring up something. It looks like Cthulhu's lurking there over the castle in the background. We've got some night gaunts as well, by the way. Yeah, awesome. And then finally, a quick look at the tables that we've got. If you need some random forces, you can generate conventional German forces and Nazi occult forces. There's guys' difficulty settings, complication ranges. You can roll randomly for enemy level. Got a reference to weapon range, attribute bonuses. Your extra challenge dice for high attribute values. Then we have the Mythos gods that might manifest. Abhorrent creatures and monstrosities and elite nemesis that could manifest. A reference of weapon effects and weapon qualities, which is very useful. Guide to conflict momentum spends, fortune spends, resistance, which is generated, again, based on brawn for armor and will for courage. And then a reminder of the restriction rating for items and what kind of items fall into that category. So, yeah, definitely more specialized for this game. I think they give you some tools to really help you generate action scenes in the moment, which is really helpful. So, yeah, that was the good news from today. I had this lovely delivery from Dungeonland. The books, as you can see, are the usual wonderful high standard from Modiphius. The GM screen is great. I love the mission generator being included. And yeah, so I think it looks like fantastic fun. Both books definitely worth picking up if you're into the mythos and you want to punch the mythos in the face. So I hope this was useful for you guys. I'm definitely looking forward to trying my hand at the Secret War using the 2d20 system. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video and in the comments below. So until then, bye-bye.